Hi everyone, it's Fiona here from fionamarks.com and it's Friday, time for my weekly newsletter. So let's look at 5 things that have been happening this week. Today is Friday the 26th of March. For those of you who were here last week or been following my life recently, you know that my father passed away last week. So this week actually is very quiet. I took the week off, but I just wanted to share a few things that obviously this week had a theme of completion for me. And it worked in really nicely with the equinox that we just experienced around the 21st. As in the Northern Hemisphere, we pass now to having that equal day of sunlight and nighttime. And from now on, we're heading towards summer, getting longer and longer days. But of course, that also means that it's the completion of the previous solar year. If we think of the spring equinox here in the Northern Hemisphere as being the beginning of the year. So also acknowledging the ending of that last solar year. And we've got 2 main things to cover in the newsletter. The first one, my father's service, and then the second one, the ending of my series that I've been doing with Amy Behrens, a parent coach, about astrology and parenting. We had the last episode come out this week. So here's a favorite photo of my dad. And I just wanted to begin by thanking everyone for their kind words from last week's newsletter. So many people reached out on the phone and by email and text and on Facebook just to express their care for my situation. So I wanted to say thanks to everybody who took the time to do that. We had a lovely service this week. For me, it was the middle of the night between Wednesday and Thursday, about 2:30 in the morning. We were able to zoom in, even getting zoomed into the graveside at the end of the service. So that was really nice. And the priest did a beautiful ceremony, and his sermon was all about the power of love. So it was very tailored to me, as if I had chosen what he would speak about. And he made this reference to God's love kind of only being limited by how much we're willing to receive it. And that's just reminded me so much of the moon in birth charts. You know, how the moon is that receptivity for all of us, because in the sky, the moon is that receptive light from the sun. And so its placement can give us hints as to how much love we can actually receive. How much can we be open to? So it was just really sweet that the priest would make a reference to that. And we were very thankful that we were able to use the same grave where my brother, who had passed before I was born, Dad has been able to be placed with him. And I think that's a really fitting placement for Dad. I think he'd feel really chuffed that we were able to make that happen. So it was a very beautiful service. So thanks for everyone for all of your care and kind words. And then the other content of my newsletter this week, all of these links are here for you to click on if you want to catch up on anything from the astrology and parenting series. So each of these, there were 8 episodes altogether. Each one started with a short astrology primer about the topic, and then was followed by a separate episode where I discussed it with Amy Behrens, the parent coach. And the first set of discussions was about parenting styles and astrology. So if you're interested in that, you've got the links there. The next topic here, number 3, children are a blessing, was the most popular. And it was really about how we can have preconceived ideas of the kind of parent we'll be, or the kind of relationship we'll have with our children or our child, and how in reality, the experience of being a parent and your unique relationship with your child, you can't preconceive that. It's spontaneous, it's unique to the two of you. And astrology can help show some of the main ways that there are differences that we relate to our children, and how it might not necessarily be a source of joy. It can be lots of other things as well. Then in topic number 4 here in the newsletter, temper tantrums and astrology, a really fascinating topic for me as a parent, to see how your child can come pre-built with their own ways of like psychological tension that they experience in their own chart, causing them to have outbursts or behavioral issues in particular areas. So I find that one really interesting. And then the last one, topic 5 here, Amy and I spoke about how those generational relationships are playing out in the family that you're in right now. And astrology is really good at revealing your relationship with your parents, your relationship with your children, and your relationship with your partner. And in fact, even your partner's relationship with your children, and possibly even your children's relationship with you. So it can help you sort of pull apart that tangled web and just see where those lines of relating are supportive, and where they're, cause of discomfort or friction. So I really enjoyed the series. A big thank you to Amy Behrens for joining me on that. And if you have any questions about how astrology can help with your parenting, or if you feel like some insights from your chart would help you gain perspective and choose different behaviors in the family, I'd love you to book a session with me. It's a topic that I think astrology has a lot to give, and a topic that I really enjoy talking about. So I look forward to seeing you for readings about your children and your parenting. All right, and that is all in the newsletter this week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. I'll allow the browser now to read through the newsletter so you can get the content. And of course, a link to this newsletter is in the YouTube box of text if you would like to subscribe and get your own copy.
Fiona's Friday 5. This week's newsletter has a theme of completion. On March 20th to 21st we passed through the vernal equinox in the northern hemisphere, and the length of day and night became equal. In many traditional cultures, this marks the beginning of a new year. In Portuguese, for example, spring is called primavera, first summer, a truth, a time. Given the cyclical nature of the Earth's relationship with the sun and with time, when there are beginnings, there is also an ending to acknowledge. The 26th of March 2021. Fiona's Friday 5. This week's newsletter has a theme of completion. On March 20th to 21st we passed through the vernal equinox, as it is called in the northern hemisphere, and the length of day and night became equal. In many traditional cultures, this marks spring and the beginning of a new year. In Portuguese, for example, spring is called primavera, first summer, a truth, a time. Given the cyclical nature of the Earth's relationship with the sun and with time, when there is a beginning, there is also an ending to acknowledge. In this newsletter, we look at the completion of my father's passing and of my series on astrology and parenting, which came to an end this week. Astrology can be very helpful in realigning us with the natural cycles in our life. If you feel you could benefit from perspective on the endings and beginnings occurring in your life, please reach out and book a session with me. 1. Thanks for all your kind words. I can't start this week's newsletter without acknowledging all your kind words by call, text, email and Facebook in relation to my father's passing. Thank you to everyone who took the time to do that. We celebrated a lovely service on Thursday, at 2:30 a.m. my time, LOL. The priest gave a short, sweet sermon about the power of love and our willingness to be open to that love. It made me think of the state of each of our moons in our birth charts, as its placement points to our ability to be receptive. We were able to bury Dad with my brother who died before I was born. All of us surviving children felt that this was the best gift and thanked the angels who arranged that. 2. Parenting Styles in Astrology. My series on astrology and parenting, with parent coach Amy Behrens, came to a close this week. Here are the first 2 videos in the series on parenting styles in astrology primer and discussion. 3. Children are a blessing. The most popular in the series, Amy and I discuss how, while your children may bring you joy, in truth, each child is unique, and having preconceived ideas of how you will feel as a parent is probably not helpful. LOL. Primer and discussion. 4. Temper, Tantrums, and Astrology. Can astrology predict temper tantrums? Here we discuss energetic pressures in a birth chart and some compassionate solutions. Primer and discussion. 5. Generational Patterns and Astrology. A fascinating discussion of how astrology reveals the complexity of our relationships with our parents, our partner, and our children, all playing out in the family. Primer and discussion. Remember to subscribe to my mailing list, YouTube channel and Facebook page. Vedic philosophy and astrology can help us experience more ease in our role as parents by providing insights into the causes of frictions and discomfort. If you feel your parenting could benefit from astrological input, why not book a session with me today? Book reading.